Hi, this is our lesson 8 or chapter 8, lesson 1, fossils. This is Sue. She is a dinosaur in the Field Museum in Chicago. What are fossils? Sue is one of the most nearly complete dinosaur fossils ever found. Fossils are preserved remains of trace living things. Most fossils form when living things die and are buried by sediment, like this. The sediment slowly hardens into rock and preserves the shape of the organisms. Sediment is made up of rock particles or the remains of living things. Most fossils form from animals or plants that once lived in or near quiet water, such as swamps, lakes, hollow seas, or sediment, where sediment can build up. You can see how fossils might form in figure 1. When an organism dies, its soft parts decay quickly or are eaten by animals. That is why only hard parts of an organism generally leave fossils. These hard parts include bones, shells, teeth, seeds, and woody stems. It is rare for the soft parts of an organism to become a fossil. What are the kinds of fossils? Fossils in rock include molds and casts, petrified fossils, carbon fossils, and trace fossils. Other fossils form when the remains of organisms are preserved in substances such as tar, amber, and ice. Look at the examples below. All right, molds and casts. The most common fossils are molds and casts. A mold is a hollow area on sediment in the shape of an organism or part of an organism. A mold forms when the organism is buried in sediment. Later, water may deposit minerals and sediment into a mold, forming the cast. So the deeper one, the hollowed out one, is the mold. The 3D shape, the one that fills it in, is the cast. A cast is a solid copy of the shape of the organism. Molds and casts can preserve fine details. Petrified fossils. A fossil may form when the remains of the organisms become petrified. The term petrified means turned into stone. Petrified, I know you see that in some Disney movies. Petrified fossils are fossils in which minerals replace all of the organism or a part, such as a dinosaur bone. This can also happen to wood, such as tree trunks. Water-carrying minerals seeps into the space in the plant cells. Over time, the water evaporates, leaving the minerals behind. So it's that hard rock. Carbon films. Another type of fossil is a carbon film. An extremely thin coating of carbon on rock. When sediment buries in organisms, some gases escape from the sediment, leaving carbon behind. Eventually, only a thin film of carbon remains. This process can preserve the delicate parts of a plant and leaves of insects. So this would kind of be like if you were using carbon paper for tracing. That's what that thin design would be. From there, it's a thin print. Trace fossils provide evidence of the activities of ancient organisms. A fossil footprint is one example. In such a fossil, a print is buried by sediment, which slowly becomes solid rock. Trails and burrows can become trace fossils. Preserved remains. Some processes can preserve entire organisms. For example, some organisms become trapped in sticky tar or tree resin. When the resin hardens, it becomes a substance called amber. Freezing can also preserve remains. Think of those suckers that have like the cricket in there. It preserves the cricket if you want to eat it. Just some fancy things. Or if you put something inside of a ice cube, you can preserve it that way. Page 50. 250. What do fossils show? Would you like to hunt for fossils all over the world? And what could you learn from them? Scientists who study fossils are called paleontologists. Together, all the information that paleontologists have gathered about life is called the fossil record. So the fossil record provides evidence about the history of life and the past environment on Earth. The fossil record can also show how different groups of organisms have changed over time, the evolution. Fossil and past environments. Paleontologists use fossils to build up a picture of Earth's past environments. The fossils found in an area tell whether the area was a hollow bay, an ocean bottom, or a freshwater swamp. Fossils also provide evidence about the past climate of a region. For example, coal has been found in Antarctica, but coal forms only from the remains of plants that grow in warm, swampy regions. The presence of coal shows that the climate of Antarctica was once much warmer than it is today. Figure 3 shows another example of how fossils change in the environment. Change on the fossil record. The fossil record also reveals changes in organisms. Older rocks contain simpler organisms, like single-cell organisms. Younger rocks, so the newer rock, contains fossils of both simple and more complex organisms. In other words, the fossil record shows that life on Earth has evolved or changed over time. Evolution is the change of living things over time. The fossil record shows that millions of types of organisms have evolved as climate and other factors change over time. Some, such as the dinosaur, have become extinct. A type of organism is extinct. If it no longer exists, it will never live again on Earth. Scientists use fossils to reconstruct extinct organisms and determine how they may be related to living organisms. For example, the organism called Hydrocotherium in figure 3 are related to modern horses. These guys, but they are extinct. That is the end of the lesson. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow when we do our review and quiz. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day.